I'm Aaliyah Brooks, shooting guard for the Las Vegas Aces. If you've ever seen me play, you know I live for the adrenaline, the crowd, and the heartbeat of the game. Basketball isn't just a sport, it's the air I breathe, the stage where I feel alive, and the one place where nothing else in the world matters. But that week, something happened that shook me in ways I never expected. There's this league official everyone calls League Karen. You know the type, the one who takes rules, protocols, and unnecessary authority way too seriously. And she decided to bench me for smiling. Yeah, one little smile after an assist, one tiny celebration acknowledging a teammate's hustle. Suddenly, I was labeled unprofessional. As I slumped onto the bench, the buzzer of injustice echoing in my ears, I realized this wasn't just about a smile. It was personal, and something in me snapped. The story wasn't over, not by a long shot. The next time the Aces hit the court, I knew the fans, my teammates, and even the league itself would witness my quiet, calculated revenge. And trust me, they weren't ready for it. After that humiliating game, I marched straight up to League Karen, jaw tight, palms itching to throw my clipboard at her, though I wisely held back. "It's just a smile," I said, keeping my voice even despite the fire inside me. Her eyes, cold and sharp, flicked up from her clipboard, and she leaned in like a teacher about to scold a kid for coloring outside the lines. "Professional athletes shouldn't show frivolity on the court," she said. Her tone dripped with condescension, as if joy itself were a punishable offense. I felt my blood boil, but I knew confrontation wouldn't work here. You can't fight League Karen with words or logic. She's built from a different kind of stubborn. Instead, I retreated, smiling internally. Because I had a plan. I knew the Aces had a huge home game against the Chicago Sky coming up. And I knew exactly how to turn the tables. If she thought she could humiliate me quietly, she had no idea that by the end of the game, the entire crowd would be my weapon of choice. Chanting, cheering, forcing her to eat her own ridiculous rules. I started laying the groundwork immediately. Every practice, I exaggerated my reactions, the smirks after a perfect pass, the small fist pumps, the playful winks to my teammates. I let the rest of the team see it, let it infect them with energy and mischief. I whispered to Tasha Collins, our veteran point guard, who always had a grin ready for chaos, "Watch this. Karen's going to regret underestimating me." Tasha laughed but nodded, fully on board. Every day, I felt the energy building. The more I let my joy shine, the more my teammates mirrored it, creating this almost infectious aura of defiance. By the time game day arrived, I wasn't just ready. I was a storm of anticipation, knowing that every fan in the arena would soon become part of my plan without even realizing it. What League Karen didn't know was that the power of a single smile, when amplified by the right team and the right crowd, could completely upend the status quo of a WNBA game. The game started with tension thicker than a championship final. From the opening whistle, I could feel League Karen's eyes locked on me, tracking every move, every twitch of my face. Every time I smiled, she flinched, scribbling notes furiously on her clipboard as if trying to record my misbehavior for some secret tribunal. But the crowd noticed too. Something about my unabashed joy was contagious. It started subtly, a few whispers here, a few murmurs there. Then, halfway through the second quarter, someone yelled my name. At first, it was a single voice, distant and tentative. But it quickly multiplied. 5 voices, then 10, then 50, until the chanting caught fire. "Aaliyah! Aaliyah! Aaliyah!" By the third quarter, the arena was a full-on eruption, the crowd vibrating with energy, and League Karen's face was a mask of disbelief and frustration. I could practically feel her questioning every single decision she had made in her so-called professional career, as if my smile was undoing decades of bureaucracy in real time. Then came the perfect moment. 20 seconds left, the Aces down by 2, the ball in Tasha's hands. She passed it to me, and time seemed to slow. I dodged a defender with a slick crossover, my eyes scanning the rim. Then I launched a three-pointer, the shot of my life. As the ball swished through the net, I threw my hands up and smiled my signature grin. The arena erupted like a bomb had gone off. Fans were screaming my name, tears streaming, cameras flashing. Every teammate seemed to explode with joy mid-court. Even League Karen hesitated, clipboard in hand, trying to assert authority. But the momentum of the crowd, the power of collective joy, and the undeniable electricity in the arena left her powerless. The chants of "Aaliyah! Aaliyah! Aaliyah!" weren't just a cheer. They were a declaration, a reminder that sometimes, the most unstoppable force in sports is pure, unapologetic happiness. The buzzer sounded, but the real noise came afterward. Before I could even catch my breath, I was engulfed in a wave of reporters, their cameras clicking like thunder, flashes exploding in my eyes, microphones crowded toward my face from every angle, voices overlapping as they scrambled to capture the first words out of my mouth. One reporter, his voice trembling with adrenaline, leaned in closer than the rest. "Did you plan this?" he asked, almost breathless, as if the chaos itself was too much for him to comprehend. I didn't flinch. I didn't stumble. I just laughed, a slow, deliberate laugh that cut through the frenzy, and shrugged with a grin so casual it almost looked rehearsed. I didn't need a speech. I didn't need an explanation. The moment spoke louder than anything I could have said. The viral video was already everywhere, thousands of fans chanting, their voices echoing like an anthem of rebellion. Social media exploded within minutes. The hashtags trended. Memes flooded every timeline, mocking the idea of benching Joy. Some showed me smiling in slow motion. Others had captions like League Karen versus pure happiness. Who you got? Even her shocked, bewildered face, mouth open, eyes wide, was clipped, looped, and shared until it became the punchline of the week. I could feel it in the air. The league was rattled. They wouldn't admit it publicly, of course. They would never lower themselves to say they had been bested by a smile, but deep down they knew, and I knew. Even the other officials, the ones usually so quick to flex their authority, started keeping their distance. They avoided eye contact, almost afraid they'd become the next unwilling character in this ongoing saga. I wasn't just another player anymore. I was the storm no one wanted to stand against. And here's the truth. This wasn't just a win that showed up in the box score. No, it was far bigger than that. It was a win for spirit, for the fans who came to feel joy, not restrictions. For my teammates who played freer knowing someone was willing to challenge the walls around us. For every single player who had ever been told to tone it down, to swallow their laughter, to hide their emotions because someone decided joy didn't look professional. On that night, we didn't just win a game. We won a battle for identity. By the time the next game rolled around, you could feel the shift in the air. League Karen's eyes still lingered on me, but the edge of her scrutiny had dulled. She wasn't barking orders. She wasn't prowling the sidelines waiting to pounce. No, she was careful now, because she knew another viral storm could break out at any second. And in that caution, I had carved out a new reputation. No longer just another player on the roster, I had become the one thing the league couldn't silence. I was the spark that could ignite an entire arena. Not with a dunk, not with a three, but with nothing more than a smile and the courage to hold on to it. But here's what they didn't realize. This wasn't the conclusion of my story, not even close. The WNBA is filled with rules, personalities, power plays, and unspoken boundaries. And every boundary, every line they draw, it's just another challenge waiting for me to test. I knew the next chapter would demand something bigger, bolder, and louder. I planned to raise the stakes in ways no one in the league office could predict. To turn the game itself into more than just a scoreboard battle, it would be a stage, and I would make sure every fan knew they were part of the performance. And the fans? Oh, they were already waiting. From the very first warm-up, chants started bouncing off the rafters. My name echoing like a drum beat. Aaliyah, Aaliyah, Aaliyah. It didn't matter what league Karen tried next. The crowd wasn't just on my side. They were part of my arsenal. Their voices were my shield, their energy my weapon. So let me leave you with this. When that moment comes, when the next clash inevitably erupts, the whole world will see why League Karen should never ever underestimate me again. Because I'm not just playing basketball anymore. I'm rewriting what it means to play. This was all for today. Thanks for watching.